Today, I'm going to be talking about how to buy property with delinquent taxes. Have you ever wondered how you could pick up a piece of property at a discounted price because of delinquent taxes? Well, by the end of this video, I'm going to break down for you one of the coolest ways to pick up properties at a discount by utilizing and understanding delinquent taxes. Have you ever wondered how some investors flawlessly find great deals? Curious about how you find and secure hidden gems out there because they have delinquent property taxes? Well, stick with me as I answer these questions and break this topic down by first explaining what property taxes are. Next, I want to help you understand something that's vitally important when it comes to delinquent taxes and buying properties by understanding tax deeds and tax liens. And finally, show you what I do to find and buy properties that have delinquent taxes. If you're ready, let's go. So what are property taxes? Now understand, good old Uncle Sam, he wants his pound of flesh, right? There's taxes on everything. Taxes on the food that we eat. There's income tax, and yes, there's property taxes. If you own property, you will pay taxes every single year on the property that you own. Property taxes are dues that you owe. The government utilizes this money to build schools, libraries, roads, parks, etc. And every single year, the local government will send out assessments on what they assess that your property is worth, and they base the taxes on that. Now here's something that's always been interesting to me, because as a real estate investor, you want those tax assessments to be as low as possible, because if they assess your property lower than it actually is, you're gonna pay less in property taxes. But as an investor, you wanna sell your property for as high as you can, so there's always that game of getting the assessment as low as you can, but the value of your property that you could sell it out much higher than the assessment. But overall, it is an added expense to a homeowner that might make it difficult for them to make their monthly payments. Now, as values of property go up, so does the property tax, which means that that monthly payment typically goes up every single month as well. Because most of the time, property taxes are embedded into the mortgage payment, both taxes and insurance. And it's built into something called escrow. Escrow encompasses both property taxes and property insurance, plus the mortgage payment. That is all included, overall mortgage payment that you're making. And typically, most mortgage companies will disperse that escrow to insurance and to property taxes for you. So what happens if somebody doesn't pay their property taxes? Well, if you stop paying your property taxes, the government agency over that is going to send out a notice that you're delinquent on your taxes. And eventually, if they aren't paid, there's going to end up being a lien on your property for the money that is owed on your property tax. Now, exactly how long you can go without making payments on the property taxes for your property varies by jurisdiction. But typically, it's 1 to 3 years before a property is sold to recover and recoup the taxes that are owed on that property. Now, the length of time and the process varies from municipality and governing agency. So if you're in that situation, I would just make sure that you talk to those local authorities to understand how long you have or how long the property has to go before it might come up for sale. However, though, if you end up eventually not paying your taxes, that home will go to sale and be sold at an auction, on a tax foreclosure auction, or through a tax deed process. Or the taxing authority might sell the tax lien certificate, and the purchaser of that tax lien might be able to foreclose on that property eventually and get deed entitled to that property. Each state has a different tax sale process. Once a lien is on the home, the taxing authority, usually the county, can have a tax sale in the form of a tax deed sale or a tax lien certificate sale. So what is the difference between tax liens and tax deeds? In a tax deed sale, the taxing authority, the county, sells the home outright. The buyer gets the deed or the title to the property. However, the purchaser of that tax deed might not get the home right away. Typically, when it's sold, there could be a redemption period that must expire before it's completed. In a tax lien certificate sale, the taxing authority sells the tax lien certificate. The purchaser gets the right to collect the debt, the interest, and the penalties associated with that tax lien. And there's usually an interest rate associated with it, meaning that the purchaser of that tax lien certificate is making a decent interest rate every year. And typically, if the owner doesn't make good on the taxes owed, then eventually the person holding the tax lien certificate can eventually foreclose on that piece of property and obtain the deed to that property. By going through the state-specific process, the tax lien holder can eventually own that piece of property, even though they're just holding right now the tax lien certificate. So obviously the government plays a big role, the taxing authorities play a big role in this process, but honestly, these agencies just want their money. They do not want to be in the real estate game. So that's why they do this. They want the money owed on the property taxes. And if they have to get it through selling that lien to somebody else or the deed or selling the home outright, they will do that because they just want their money. They do not want to be in the business of real estate. But this does leave a great opportunity for investors. So how do you find these properties? Well, here's a couple of different ways to find these properties. Number one, utilizing a real estate software, an off-market software. I love a software called RealFlow. It is one that I've utilized many times, and you can query this software by certain filters that allow you to find properties that owe delinquent taxes. And I've done that many times, and a lot of times these properties are off market. Another great place to find properties that owe taxes is through a website called bidforassets.com. It is a great place that shows nationwide properties that are delinquent on taxes and allows you to go see it listed with the taxing authority, typically the county, and when that auction might be taking place. Another way to find these properties is just calling up the county assessor's office and finding out if there are any auction sales out there for delinquent property taxes. But you must understand each state is a little bit different. Some states are tax deed states, some states are tax lien states, and understanding which state you're investing in is going to be really important to understand if it's a tax lien or tax deed state. And one other important element that you need to understand if you're an investor, if you show up to these auctions and you're bidding on these properties or you're bidding online, you have to have the funds to close on that piece of property, or else you'll probably never be invited to another auction again. So you have to be able to make good on the bid that you make to close on that property. And understand, with the economy right now and interest rates as high as they are, and some people experience some downturn in the economy, there's probably going to be thousands of more properties that come up for auction with delinquent taxes over the course of a period of time. Now understand, this is one strategy in the world of real estate that is absolutely amazing. I have another strategy that I'd be interested in you checking out that I'm currently doing right now called cash flow flipping. It is one of the most innovative, awesome strategies I've ever seen in real estate that is cash flowing every month and building wealth. And if you're interested in this strategy, go ahead and click on this video below. Thanks again for stopping by. Have an amazing day.